Hey y'all. I don't know where I come up with this Southern accent every time I put a camera in front of me. I grew up in New England. I've lived in Alaska and Minnesota. I did spend a lot of time in Louisiana. Could be from there. So, hello. I am Liz from Liza Jane Designs in Afton, Minnesota. Please let me know if everything is looking good to you. Hello, Tracy and Sherry. So good to see you. Just let me know. I've been working on some of the tech things so that I do better. I'm trying, you guys. So today we are going to be, I'm going to take these out. Yeah, I'm going to take those out because I don't need to hear myself twice. We're going to be working with IOD stamps and torch paste. Have you guys heard of torch paste? Here some is. Now, I think there are different brands. This says it is the original wood burning paste, and I know the person who makes it is on Etsy, and I think just Google it if you want to try some, and you can get it from her. But also there are other brands, and if you Google, there's even ways to make your own wood burning paste, so you can get a recipe online. I'm going to show you how I've been using it and just experiment a little today. Today's not a big project day. It is kind of exploring technique. So I'm going to switch over so you see my tabletop. See how that worked? Oh. And I want to show you this that I worked on yesterday. So this guy I used from the new release. I hope you guys have all had a chance to get some or all of the new release, but I used yesterday stamps from the Birds and the Bees. Birds and Bees, yes. So this stamp is beautiful, different sized bees and birds on branches, and I just love it. So I used that yesterday with some torch paste and came up with this design on a cutting board. So I'll go into that and kind of how I used the torch paste, how I added color and some transfers. But I just wanted to show you a sample here. I'll set that aside for a bit and then show you a different one. Also from the Birds and the Bees, I did use a stencil that had a honeycomb pattern, but then I stamped the bees with the torch paste, and I wood burned them in and added a little color later on. I painted the board after I burned the design in. I don't know for sure, but I think that's important because, well, even though I'm using a clay-based paint and chalky paint, I don't know what would happen if I applied that much heat to it. So I'm going to set that one aside as well and just show you the process that I've been playing with. So this is, well, this is a homemade wood slice that it's pretty smooth. And I'm going to choose, I think, another stamp from Birds and Bees. I do like the ones that have the branches. So let's try this one. So I'm going to get that guy off its backing. You can see the image there. Here's the bird. So there's like a thistle. I can add some color to it later on. And how I have been doing this, you guys, is I have a little plastic bag here, and I'm going to put a bit of torch paste. And like I said, you can buy this online from the torch paste people, or Google options and maybe get a different kind or make your own. There are recipes for making your own. Typically, these are used through stencils. I am using them with my IOD stamps. And what I've done to apply is get the brayer, kind of put an even coat of the torch paste on my brayer, apply it to the back of the stamp. Now, you don't see it on there very well. I like using the brayer because I feel like I'm going to get an even distribution of the paste, and it's not going to go into all the detail. It's going to stay on top. It is hard to see. There's a little bit of an orange color. So I'm going to make sure I get that on there as completely as I can. And then stamp my wood round with the torch paste. I think like that. So I'm just going to push that down. Where are y'all joining me from today? Again, that Southern accent just pops up on me when there's a phone recording me. And I've never, ever lived in the South other than some hurricane recovery work I've done in Louisiana. I spent months on end, and I got to say, I did love the hospitality there. Can you see that image? So I'm going to right away put my stamp in some soapy water that I have sitting here. Anytime I use anything other than ink on a stamp, I make sure I have soapy water. So here, washing it right away, because I don't know what those chemicals might do to the stamp. So please take good care of your stamps that way. If you use paint on them, you should wash them right away so paint doesn't fill the crevices. I'm going to move on. The instructions for the torch paint say that you should let it soak into the wood for a couple of minutes. So we're going to set that guy aside, and I'm going to do a couple more different substrates here. Here is an IOD panel. I don't even know what size it is, maybe 4 by 6 but here's an IOD panel, and here is a kind of medium-sized round. We'll find images to put on these. So I think I will use this one, this bird, which also has some nice pine cones and imagery there. I'm going to try that on this piece of wood. And I'm going to open up my Antiquities stamp. So this is also from the brand new release, Antiquities, which just is such a fun variety of stuff. And we'll pick one out of there. We have viewers from Ireland and France and England and Santa Barbara. This is an awesome crowd. Thank you for joining me. I'm Liz from Liza Jane Designs in Afton, Minnesota, playing around with wood burning. Let's see. We're going round. I'm going to try this round image right here that says, what does it say? It says 5 francs, 1876. Oh, it's a French stamp, République Française. So for my French viewer here, and Northern California, hey, Carla and Wilma from the Netherlands. Whoa. I have never traveled the world as much as I am this morning. A little more torch paste, right? A little more torch paste on my, we're going to try a different way of doing it this time, but I'm going to scoop a little bit out and kind of smooth it on my plastic bag. This is a little bit smaller stamp than that bird. So this time, instead of brayering it on, I'm going to set the stamp gently into the torch paste and just tap on it to get the paste on there. I may roll it with the brayer also, just wanting to get all that fine detail if I can, and put that on this round. So have any of you who are watching ever tried torch paste? It is, I do not sell it in my shop. And as I said earlier, I know there are recipes for making your own using ammonia and different components. So can you see that very pale light orange stamping on there? We let that sink in for a couple of minutes while I do one more stamp on this board. And you guys, this could be super successful, or it could be a real learning experience, right? I feel like I had some success yesterday. If you just joined, here is a cutting board that I did yesterday. The wood burning you see in the different shades of brown. Some of them look a little orangey too, but you get a different result, which to me makes it look very organic and hand made versus, you know, factory made. You get variations in the coloring. I do have a Teflon sheet here because when we start using the heat gun, I don't want to melt any plastic or burn the place down. So I do have a Teflon sheet over a wooden box underneath my project. Safety is important. Rolling some more of that paste on the stamp. And you guys, someone said this is new to them. I will tell you this is new to me as of yesterday, but it's something I've always wanted to try. And our stamps have such beautiful detail in them. I thought, why not? Let's try it. It's one of my favorite things to do, is just experiment and have fun with all the different tools and techniques that we are given by the IOD sisters. Yeah, that one came out pretty well, I think. I do see some like dots, but we'll see what happens with that. We're going to set these aside to let that paste soak into them. I'm going to turn on my heat gun down here and hope it's not too distracting. I'm going to set it down and let it warm up a little bit. Close up my torch paste. This amount of paste goes a long way. I am also going to remind you that if you use anything but ink on your IOD or any stamps, get them into some hot water right away. Amanda, it is just called torch paste, the original wood burning paste. And you say, obviously, it's safe for the stamps. I mean, I'm testing that whole idea. I think it's super important if you put torch paste or paint or anything on your stamps that's other than ink, get them into some warm soapy water right away, and you should have no problem. Now, I can't guarantee that. So if you're adventurous like me, you can take your chances. If you don't want to, well, and you want to try pyro wood burning, you could also do it the traditional way with stencils and such. So these are a couple of wood burning or wood rounds that I stamped ahead of time so that the paste would soak in. I hope you can see I am using a heavy duty kind of construction type heat gun. A craft gun, a craft tool will not get hot enough for this process. So you need at least 1,000, are they watts? 1,000 of the units that heat guns come in. And I am just moving it around. Like I said, I have a Teflon sheet here. Hello, Kelly from Florida. Yeah, Judith, I have not tried the torch pen. And I know there are heavier duty heat guns as well that might work more quickly. This heat gun is, I think it goes up to 1,200 watts. So it's high enough, but it takes a few minutes. It is starting to turn. I'm going to keep moving my heat gun. The orange will go away when it starts to burn. Now, prior to today, you may have thought that watching paint dry was one of the most boring things, but it's also a little bit boring to watch somebody burn wood using torch paste, apparently, especially if their heat gun is just barely up for the job. But it's starting to burn. I can smell it here. I can see it. I don't know if you can see. I don't think I want to pick that up quite yet. But see, it is. This one is a stamp also from the Antiquities stamp. Let's see, Amanda, did you get the answer? About being safe for stamps, do you mean, Jersey? My answer was that I'm taking my chances. I am using the torch paste very quickly on the stamp, putting it onto my image or my substrate, and then putting it in warm soapy water right away. I do not want to take any chances with my stamps because they're expensive and they're detailed and they're beautiful, and I want to take good care of them, right? So I'm going to move that rooster out of the way to cool off. And we'll just do this guy a little bit more and see if we can get him to turn. I know this isn't the most exciting things, but is there anything y'all want to talk about? I am here in Minnesota. I hope you can still hear me over this heat gun. I am here in Minnesota where we're hoping for spring to come sometime later in the month, but we just got under another winter storm advisory. We've had lots of snow and ice this year. All right, I'm going to turn off this heat gun and we'll take a look. This is like at a high school dance. I'm going to turn it off. Boom. There. Do you sell? I don't sell the paste. I've got my paste online. I think I may have seen an ad on Facebook. I'm not sure. I saw an ad for it. I checked it out, and it is made by it's a woman-owned business. So very small business kind of thing. I have no association with the product other than I started using it yesterday, but I like it. And here is what we got on this is the Antiquities rooster stamp. What do you think? Does it create smoke? Not really. I mean, there's no smoke in here, and there's very little smell. I have a window propped open where I can see the snow falling. So I have provided some ventilation for myself here, but I am not getting bad smells or any kind of smoke. So this is an example of the torch paste with the stamps. And I'm going to set those aside and think that the pieces we just did earlier well, Shannon Booth, I wish you would take a road trip and visit me. Like I said, I've got an Airbnb that's going to be ready for guests anytime now. I'm going to grab that heat gun again. And let's see, since the heat gun is heated up. So in real time, you see no smoke. I think it is good to, have plenty of air circulating, a fan going. I have a window open, like I said. I do want to get this one done because I want to show you a couple of follow-on techniques for adding some interesting color and just fun effects. Felicia Brown, you are very welcome that I'm doing this so you can see how to use it. I made a sign for my shop a while ago that says, be brave enough to suck at something new. And that is kind of my motto. I try to be brave and try new things and realizing they are not all going to work, but knowing in my heart that the only way to get good at something is to jump in and try it and then keep trying it until I get better. So my daughter thought be brave enough to suck at something new was kind of a negative thing. I don't think it is. I think we have to acknowledge that when we try new things, we're not going to be great at it right away. We are going to have learning curves. And sometimes I think the more advanced you become in some areas of your life, the less you like to feel like you're flailing about. That feeling of being a beginner and a novice can be unsettling, I think. But it's the only way for me to get better at anything is to accept the fact that I'm going to have to not be the best when I start out. So I am not going to bore you guys with all of these, but you remember I have different surfaces. I will finish those up later on. But for now, here's this guy, which I love the way it looks. I love the different colors of the burn. And I'm going to let this cool off a bit. And what I want to do is take this same stamp. I'm going to do it on here when this cools off. And I'm going to use some white chalky paint. And I'm going to stamp right over where I wood burned. So I'm going to use the same brayer. I'm going to fold my paper bag or my plastic bag so I'm not getting more torch paste. I'm going to clean the brayer in my... Oh, I didn't realize you could use a heat press on torch paste. That's a great thing to know. Shannon, I think it's okay if you would add a link to that paste, as long as we all realize I don't have any association with it. IOD has no association with it. And I'm certainly not saying it's the best torch paste. I'm saying it's the one I tried. And I'm having this degree of success with it. But if you wanted to do that, Shannon, I would so appreciate it. But if not, just like I said, Google it, torch paste, or look at other brands. I'm not a brand ambassador for them. White chalky paint. Whoops, I think I better grab the stamp though. So I have the rooster, which I washed earlier and put back on my sheet. So here's the rooster. I want to emphasize the middle, so I'm staying away from some of the edge, and I'm going to try to stamp that right on top of where I wood burned. And I'm just going to tap. But in this case, I don't even want a super dark or heavy. I just want a little bit of paint on here, and I want to let that dry and then add a tiny bit of color. So that's okay with me. There's a little bit of white over the burned rooster. We'll set him aside to dry. I'm going to put that stamp in my soapy water because paint can dry in the crevices and take away some of the detail on our stamp. I don't want that to happen. I'm going to grab the stamp we used on this one out of the water. I'm going to dry that off. And well, hello, Jazzy Jeans. It's so good to have you on board. And Shannon Booth, I tell you, someday she's going to submit a timesheet for all the help she's provided to me over these months. You're on the payroll of my heart, Shannon. I appreciate your support and help all the time. So, white chalky paint on the brayer. I'm placing that onto the same stamp that we used to wood burn this big circle. I'm going to line it up as best I can with his beak and the thistle that's here, and just kind of press that down. That's not bad. I think I want a little more in here, so I'm going to just take that part and press it down a little more. And there it is. Something else that I did yesterday, and I'm going to do here with these birds, is I added the detail of their eye back in. You can do that. You don't have to live with the image that you stamp, you can add the detail back in with a tiny little paintbrush or a paint marker, because I think the eyes are important on the birds. So when I get to that part, I will probably draw that eye back in there so we can see it. Let's see, this guy's dry already. He is dry because the wood was still warm. The chalk paint dries very quickly. I'm going to set aside my plastic bag. And I have a few options for adding color. Today, I'm using some of my well-worn Caran d'Ache water-soluble crayons. Just one option. When I get these wet, whoops, I think I had some blue on there. When I get these wet, they act much like watercolor paint. So you can use these. You can use watercolor paint. I'm going to put a little bit of orange just where I have that white. It just adds a little bit of color in there. I'm going to add a little bit of yellow. And I'm using these crayons, but you could use a tiny bit of a chalk paint. You could use watercolor. Watercolor pencils on there would work. What I'm after is something that's transparent so that I see right, I can still see the brown of the wood burning. I'm just trying to colorize that little bit of white. And for me, I don't know, can you see that? See if I can get that. There's just a little bit of colorization there. And that's what I'm going for. Just like on this one, I stamped it with the white. It didn't go everywhere. And then I used a little bit of blue. I did also use, besides my crayons, I have a little bit of liquid watercolor here. And that was that blue that we saw right away. So just a tiny dot of color in these areas too. For me, it just brings the piece to life to have a bit of color, but because it's transparent, I still see all the shades of the wood burning, and I really like that. Now, on this particular one, after I added color, I added a few little transfer bits to bring in additional detail and color, and these are just tiny pieces of some floral and greenery transfers that I had left. So always hang on to those bits. They can play a big part. I think my rooster needs a red, what's the thing called on top of a rooster's head? The little, it's red, and I don't know what it's called, but I know you guys know what I mean. Anybody out there know what that's called on a rooster? I'm going to put a little bit of this is liquid watercolor. I've got a bucket of water here. I'm just going to take a tiny, tiny bit of that and see if I can make the top of my rooster's little, whatever it's called, red. There, red. That's it. That's good enough for me. All right, this guy, what should we make him? It's been oh. Sorry, you guys. I think I went away for a minute. That was a junk call coming in to disrupt my video here. So we declined that. I'm adding a little bit of this blue liquid watercolor. in places on this bird. It's kind of dark, so I'll just water it down some more. So again, this is today, for me, it's an emphasis on technique, not a big finished project, but I hope that you can see ways that you could work this process into whatever crafting and art making that you enjoy. I think you could have furniture applications on some, say, panel doors. Liking that color, just enough color for me. Maybe a tiny bit of orangey for his beak. Nothing too pronounced. There. And a little bit of purple for the thistle, because I love purple thistles. So we're just going to add some purple in there. And it's the tiniest amount. You can see I've had these crayons for years and years and years and years. They're broken, they're well loved, and they still work. So purple thistles. I will add an eye back onto this guy later when he's good and dry. And don't be intimidated about doing that kind of thing. Just look at the picture on the stamp and Sherry, go on back, please, to comb. That's what it's called. The cock is the male chicken, right? And the comb is what is on his head. Thank you. Thank you, guys. When I'm done here, this guy, I'm just looking at the image of this stamp and seeing where the eye is on him. Where's the one with the thistle? It is, I don't know where it is. It's here. There he is, right up there. So I'm going to find where his eye is. I'm going to emphasize that a little bit with some black and a little touch of white. And this bird will be good to go. Sherry and others who missed, please go back and watch the replay of the video. Basically, I used IOD stamps. I used ones from the new release to stamp imagery onto wood, variety of types of wood using torch paste. As I've said multiple times here, I'm not an ambassador for them. It's something I've wanted to try. I know there are online recipes for making your own. So you could try this. It says the original wood burning paste. It's designed to be used through stencils. I thought today I would try it with the stamps. I feel, though I can't guarantee, I feel that it's safe to use with the stamps as long as you immediately put them in warm soapy water and wash away the paste. So you apply the paste, you let it soak into your wood for a bit, and then you use a very high intensity heat gun to burn the image into your wood. You know, we could add some words in here with letter stamps. There's just endless possibilities, which I find is always the case with Iron Orchid Designs tools. They give us endless possibilities for creating. And I'm Liz with Liza Jane Designs in Afton, Minnesota. It's kind of in the Twin Cities area on the St. Croix River, Wisconsin border. So if you're in the area, I hope you'll come see me here in Afton. But if you're not, please check out the Iron Orchid Designs retail locator on their website and find a stockist near you. We love to work with our customers who in no time become our friends. And it's just a great gig to get a stockist you feel connected to and learn from each other. Lauren, thanks for joining. I really appreciate you guys being here. I will see you again in a couple of weeks, and who knows what we will work on then, but I appreciate you all. Do find your local stockist. If you don't have anyone near you, many of us also ship, so you can establish a long distance relationship if that's what you have to do. So thank you guys very, very much. I will run through and see if I missed any questions, and I will answer them. So love you. Thanks for being here. Catch you next time. Bye.